This is not a cooking video. This is not my color. But I'm gonna wear it because Preetam and Moshmi gifted it to me on my birthday. So why not? Okay, let's go. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am doing this after a long time, years even, and I might stutter, stammer, and take a bit, but we're gonna remove that in the cuts. So today we're gonna be talking about hoping that the dog doesn't bark. Tips and tricks for a live performer come singer while I make an omelette for 10 minutes. Let's go. We have everything I need. We have the bowl. We have 2 eggs that I need. The salt, pan. Oh, pan. Let's go. Okay. Ready. For those of you who don't know, I perform cover gigs in Hyderabad, and one thing that I realized is that live music and studio recordings are two very different things. Studio is a very controlled environment and it could also get a little nerve-wracking and intimidating time to time. It takes a while to get the right take then. But live music, if you do your thing and it's a flow, and if you make your mistake, there's no going back. And that's the one thing that you want to avoid, which is making a mistake, which is why we're here. So as I played more and more of my cover gigs, I understood my body language and how things work for me on stage, and I'm here to share it with you. I've probably said that for the 3rd time. Let's go. Number 1, breath control. So this is something personal for me because I like to perform on stage, as in like I move around a bit. And especially the last indie gig that I performed in the city, I knew that there were songs where I'm just like, ha, and ha. So I didn't want to lose my stance and my vocals and while doing all of that, and neither did I want to feel extremely tired by the end of my set, even if it was 30 minutes. You know, you don't want to feel like it's the end of the world by the end of the set. You still want to feel energetic enough, especially to pull off that last song, which might be your most powerful song in the set list. Some people do that, I do that for now. Yeah. So one thing that I started doing for that particular show was practicing breath control and increased stamina. I started to jog in one place while singing my entire set list, and at first it was tough. But then at the end of the day, when I did perform on stage on show, it did not feel as tiring as it has in the past when I've not even jumped that much and just stood and sung and just like moved my arms around. So that really helped, and I did that only for that last week leading up to the show, and it was surprising what 1 week of that can do to you, apart from losing a lot of weight if you don't eat right. Eat your eggs. So that's what I did, and that was also to increase stamina because you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to feel like fatigued and you're just too tired to move right after your last set, or rather right before your last song, for which you still need your vocals to be tight and your energy levels need to be high for you and your band. So that's one. Learning calming down techniques. It could be really nerve-wracking to get on stage to perform your own songs. I mean, I still get very nervous. Last few shows that I was doing last November with Boydurja Banerjee, who's the guitarist who accompanied me on this tour, on the So Far tour, I was very nervous for about 2 or 3 of those shows, like very nervous, where I couldn't calm my hands down from shaking or even feel less anxious on the inside. And I was like, okay, you know what? I have to try something out. It was the first time it happened. I was taken off guard and I did not know what to do. So I just kept walking around, and people were coming in, people were going out, and I kept talking to them. So for the next show, I thought, okay, let's isolate yourself. But I couldn't really isolate because the place was full of people. So I just sat in a corner and I put on my earplugs and I just sat and tried to not think about the show. But it only made things worse. So then I sat and I'm like, okay, now what to do? Because the feeling's not going away. Here are 3 things that I realized that I could do the next time that might help, one of which helped me slightly that day. Meditation. I tried to recall what the dude on this meditation app would say, specifically for the section called Managing Anxiety. And I tried to think of my anxious thoughts as a living being outside of me that is just walking away from me slowly. Kept coming back, but that's a different thing. But that's what I kept trying to think of, and I think it did help me like about 10%. Just have to maybe get better at it is what I think. Here's another thing that I think you could do is journal. Carry a book, carry your pen and paper, and even if it's in a room full of people, just sit and write. Even sit and write, I am feeling nervous, I wonder why. And one thing will lead to the other and finally come to the answer. And by the end, you've probably forgotten that you were feeling nervous. So the idea is to move your mind from thinking about the nervousness onto something else. And that's what I think could help as well. The third thing that you could also try, and this really helped me, sit with your teammates. At the end, I gave up and I sat with Boy, the guitarist that I was with, and I just sat with him and I'm like, listen, I'm really nervous. I need to calm down. And that really helped. That surprisingly helped. I just had to sit beside him and just be, because he was so calm. And I was like, okay, your calm is coming on to me, and it's helping. So I did that, and that really helps. So stay with your team members, because sometimes I feel like people are really good at not showing it. I show it. I try to not show it, but I show it. And these people who are really calm, I think that energy just bounces off of them. So that's what really helped me. Another thing that could maybe help is engaging in conversation. I mean, this doesn't help me personally, or maybe it does. I have to try it better. But maybe engaging in conversation with a random stranger about anything else. Basically, the idea is to take off your mind from that thought, from that anxious thought, and you should be good to go. Number 3, and probably the most important of all, Riyaz. Just like if you were a coder or a writer or an instrumentalist and you'd practice day in and day out to perfect that and get it right because you need to get the final product out really good. Similarly, you need to, I think, practice to become a singer. If you're God gifted, well, great. I feel like sometimes you need it, and that's okay to do it. But yeah, I just feel like if you're a singer, well then, you know what, go ahead and practice. I try to. I still make mistakes. I do. I know. My bandmates know I do. But I think practice makes perfect, with the occasional mistakes. Number 4, practice in front of a mirror. This is really helpful. Like, this is practically helpful. Just do your whole set the way you would perform, or the way you envision yourself to perform on stage. You know, you might just end up making changes. It makes a difference. Like, for example, you might think that keeping your hand in this position looks fine enough, but then you look at yourself in the mirror and it does not look as big on stage. And on stage you need to maybe look big. Depends on what you're doing, how you're performing. I get that, but maybe your hand needs to be here. This is just a very odd example for a singer, but that. So practicing in front of a mirror would give you ideas as to what changes you could make to your movements, your body movements mainly, and the way you could also maybe deliver a particular song. Smile, not smile, your angles if you're concerned about that. So yeah, practice in front of a mirror. And then practice away from it, which would give you even more, a better hold on the whole performance. Because on stage you don't really have a mirror. Right. Okay. Woo! Number 5, prep. As though you're performing on stage. So like you could be prepping solo or with your band in the jam room, but prep from start to finish as though you are performing on stage. This would include timing your set, because you want to know how much time you're taking, and you want to know that you don't bleed into somebody else's set timing. You don't want to do that on stage. Everyone's worked hard enough to be there and get their time slot to perform. And you also want to check, maybe it would help you know how much you're going to talk in between a set, or when you're going to introduce your bandmates, small things like those, but it really makes a difference. And some people really don't have to practice these things and it comes really natural to them. Very good for you. But well, if you need practice, this is a great way to just know your set from end to end and be prep. Because on stage things are very different. You have nerves, you have people, you have unexpected things could happen on stage, and you might just be thrown off guard. So it's best to just have it as a muscle memory or in the back of your head constantly, or where you know that, okay, my next move is going to be this, so all is good even if something else fails in the back. So that just be prepared for the worst, or be prepared for the best. And my omelette's done, so the last thing I'm going to say is the audience could totally be intimidating sometimes. At least for me, there have been many shows where I've been super intimidated by them and their looks and their silence. What happens is, especially if you're wearing in-ear monitors, is I feel there's just so much silence in between a song. There might not be. And I'm like, are they listening? Are they bored? Why are they looking at me like that? But you know, one thing I realized, even I stand like this at concerts and just look at them because I'm like, I'm totally focusing. I'm actually focusing. And I just try to remind myself that it is absolutely okay for somebody to be standing this way and watching you, because maybe they're just observing you really closely. But still, there have been times where I've been way in over my head on stage, and that has affected my performance. And throughout the set, I've been doubting myself as to, am I doing a good job? Are we sounding good enough? Why are people so quiet? Why are they not clapping? Why are they just looking at me with no smile on their face? Which is scary, because I'm like, are they judging me? And I have been way in over my head. And one way to counter this, one thing that I found, is to just tell my band mates that, hey, you know what, the party is just amongst the 2, 3 or 4 of us, and enjoy. I mean, you can't really control what the outcome is going to be, so you might as well just have fun, because you don't know when you're going to be able to do this again. You've practiced a lot for this. You're trying out something new. I try to try out something new for every indie show of mine, trying something new, so you might as well just have a party amongst us on stage and have fun. Make sure or hope that that energy bounces off of you onto them, the audience, and then you should be good to go. So that's what happened. And for my last show, I think I did that with my bandmates, and I was performing with the band after forever. So I was like, nothing should go wrong, and I don't want to worry about whether people are going to say something or judge or look at me in a particular way, but I really want to have fun. So this is one really good way to counteract that feeling of feeling looked up at in a judgy way. It also sometimes helps me to look into people's eyes, but it's just a me thing while I perform, because I think when I look at them for 2 seconds or longer, depending on whether their expression changes, I also feel a little reassured. But honestly, that's just a me thing, and it happens very naturally for me to look at somebody while I perform. So that was that, and I am pretty sure that there are more such things which might not be as technical as what I just discussed, might be more humane things and things that you learn over a period of time. Really thankful for my cover gigs, because all those days of performing, even if while sitting, standing, whichever, have translated onto my indie shows and helped me there. So that's a big realization I had a year or so ago. Maybe we could discuss that in the future, but these are things that have helped me and some things that I've realized over the years, and I hope these help you. But yeah, all the best at the end of it all. Just have fun. You're here to do what you have to do. So why not make the most of it, and why not do it the best way possible, and at least try to be the best at it. I make my mistakes too. I still do. You can ask my bandmates, but I try. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.